Доброго вечора, ми з України.
Здравствуйте, здравствуйте, дорогие товарищи, and welcome back to Ushanka Show, stories about life in the Soviet Union. In today's video, we're gonna talk about socialism, and why so many people like it. Because I like it.
Your videos are bullshit. Try to learn economy before telling something and read Marx.
Some time ago, I already recorded a video, Why Do We Love Capitalism So Much? And today we're gonna discuss why do we love socialism so much. If you're interested in the topic of socialism and capitalism, I also would recommend my older video, How I Discovered Capitalism. Link will be below this video. But before we begin, let's have a quick refresher. What is socialism? It's economic and social system in which the means of production is controlled by workers, as opposed to private power, and production is based on human need as opposed to profit. So the key word, of course, it's the means of production controlled by workers. Meanwhile, capitalism is defined as economic system in which the means of production of goods and services are privately owned and operated for a profit. So the key word, once again, means of production, workers versus privately owned. Okay, so while we're on the topic of different isms, socialism, capitalism, let's have a quick refresher. What is communism? Well, it looks like some people think that race mixing is communism and we need to stop race mixing because it's the march of the Antichrist. Very interesting. But in reality, communism is a classless, state-less, money-less economic system in which workers control their means of production. Once again, means of production, always the key word. And resources are distributed from each according to their ability and to each according to their needs. От каждого по способности, каждому по потребностям. I remember that from school. And of course, there's the question, how do we get from socialism to communism? And is it possible to do in one single country? Well, according to Joseph Stalin, it was possible to move from socialism to communism in the Soviet Union. So what's the difference between socialism and communism? So during the socialism, contribution is made from everyone according to their ability, and you get back according to the size of your contribution, while in communism, once again, you work according to your ability, but you get back according to your needs. So it doesn't matter how hard you work, you're still gonna get what you need under communism. I also stumbled upon this caricature where it claims that socialism is a system in which the means of production owned by the state, so not by the workers but by the state, and there is no private property. And I think that's the big difference, and a lot of people argue what is actual real socialism, when means of production owned by the state or versus when means of production owned by the people, by the workers. I think it's a big difference there. When I was getting ready for this video, I actually was thinking for a little bit, and I think the main difference between socialism and capitalism, not about, who owns the means of production, but I think the main difference is capitalism is a natural way of human society. Like no one came up with the idea, let's do this capitalism thing. It was just natural way of progressing from, primitive tribes going to like slavery, right? And then feudalism, again capitalism, and then we roll into so-called imperialism. Meanwhile, socialism is completely artificial idea. So we have philosophers that came up with this idea, how about we ban private property, ban private means of production, and see what would happen. So I think that's the major difference. Capitalism is the natural way of human society, while socialism is kind of artificial idea that being implemented on human society. As I mentioned in my video about capitalism, I was really impressed with this story about every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up and a lion wakes up, and that's the whole idea of capitalism. It doesn't matter whether you're a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you better be running. So that's the kind of like the idea of capitalism. You have to run. While socialism pretty much removes the lions out of the picture, and it says, okay, now we can all just live happily ever after because we don't need to run anymore. And it's true because like my family, we never ever worried about, oh my God, dad is about to lose a job or we don't have enough money to pay our monthly rent. And I remember like reading articles about West, about life in America, and I was just horrified the whole idea that people can't afford an apartment and they'll get kicked out. That was totally unheard of. So as I say many times, yes, Soviet people were poor comparing with the, most people in the West, like same level workers, full-time union members, but we didn't have to worry about those basic kind of needs. So that made Soviet Union a very comfortable place to be poor because you don't worry about being unemployed. In fact, the only reason you worry to be unemployed because you can get in trouble with government and can get in prison for being a parasite of society. And you didn't have to worry about your housing because it was so cheap. Some people may call me cynical, but I firmly believe that the only reason people would work hard is or fear or greed. And capitalism offers greed as a driving force. People chasing profit, people want to make more money, they want to drive nicer cars, they want to have younger girlfriends, whatever. And like Comrade Stalin applied fear in initial development of Soviet Union, and it worked well for him, not well for people. You created gulag system of labor camps. People were horrified if they don't make the quota. And then after that fear was removed, Soviet Union was kind of went into this cruising and economy slowing down. Personally, I think I have a quite a unique position because I lived for 20 years in the Soviet Union, so I kind of saw how the people work and how they acted and what they thought about the whole socialism system. And now I lived for about 20 years in the United States, and I see how people work and act here. And I could tell you, generally, Americans and like people in Soviet Ukraine, like workers, they're very similar in the attitudes. Because if something is not yours, people don't really care about it. Like I see here in America, like the company trucks will be dirty, poorly maintained. In the same time, I see the same guy who doesn't care how the company truck is doing. His truck is shiny, he keeps it clean, he puts nice tires, he watches for any scratches. Meanwhile, the company truck is destroyed because people just don't care because it's not mine. Exactly the same attitude like Soviet people had. Told you touch nothing, but you're just a bunch of cowboys. So I see why the concept of socialism, the concept of this equality, of concept of removing lions and letting gazelles just roam freely without being afraid and need to run for your life every day. So that whole idea sounds so attractive to young people. But of course, there's also confusion between socialism and democratic socialism. Like this commenter says, Jeremy, you are confusing communist socialism with democratic socialism. It's difference between the failure of the Soviet Union versus obvious success of nations like Norway. The idea that American democratic socialists are trying to create a Soviet system versus Norwegian system is idiotic and uninformed. First of all, Comrade Jeremy, Norway doesn't have democratic socialism. Norway has a social democracy where taxation is in progressive form. That as more money you make, as more taxes you pay, and a lot of this tax money go into the social services. And of course, Norway is a unique case. They pretty much build their success on nationalization of oil industry, for example, right? They don't have large corporations pumping oil and keeping the profits. They have a Statoil, I believe that's the name of the company, that belongs to the government, and all the profits from oil go into all the social programs in their welfare fund. While in the United States, all the oil industry is in private hands, right? And they don't pay any taxes, probably. They usually take huge tax breaks. And I totally agree. Norwegian government does a lot for their people. They have socialized medicine. They have I believe they have a free college. I'm not sure about that. They have a fully paid vacations for like 1 month. They have a paid leave for taking care of the children. But think about this. What kind of products came out of Norway in the last 50 years? Like, do you think of anything revolutionary, like maybe internet, iPhones, anything out of Norway? The only way, if I think about Norway, I think about smoked salmon. There's nothing Norway created. Like, people are happy, well taken care of by the government, but they do not really create any products except pumping oil out of the Northern Sea. There's really nothing being created. Like, if you look in the United States, pretty much everything, new technologies, Google, Apple, right? All this stuff was coming out of the United States. So people unhappy, gazelles here running for their lives, but it's United States that create new products, and people not happy though. But when I think about progress in the Soviet Union, I always think about it, Ural motorcycles, мотоциклы Ural. Think about it. Soviet Union purchased BMW factory and technology to make motorcycles like in 1938 or 1939. And since then, up to modern days, they still build motorcycles built on 1939 German technology. So it's like building brand new vintage motorcycles. That's why they're so unique. They sound different. Every engine from Ural motorcycles has its own sound, while all the Harley Davidsons or Yamahas, they sound exactly the same. So for all these years, pretty much almost 100 years, same technology, people were buying it, and the government didn't request any upgrades or making new models, so they were just cranking these motorcycles with slightly tweaks, little improvements. It's insane. Just to give you a perspective, try to imagine that this 1938 Ford Deluxe would be still manufactured in Detroit and sold all over the country and all over the world because it's so cool and so vintage. Well, that story about the vacuum tubes, I recall reading that when in the 90s, people who enjoy hi-fi music, the audiophiles, they discovered that transistors actually don't make sound as good as old-fashioned vacuum tubes, radio tubes, I think they're called, right? So when they started searching who still manufactured vacuum tubes, the only country that still had a functioning factory cranking vacuum tubes was, of course, Soviet Union. Which brings them back to this concept. I believe that's Karl Marx or Engels said that socialism cannot win in a single country. It needs to be all over the world, otherwise it's going to fail. Okay, my friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, please don't forget to like it, post your comments, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye.
Andres Romero Lamour, Jorge Torres.
My name is Erin Stockwell. I'm from Canada.
Hello, my name is Christoph Jewish. I'm from Lebanon.
Good morning, my name is Patrick. I'm from
My name is Samuel Lahan. I'm from Boston.
Good morning, my name is Alan Moore. I'm from Canada.
Hi, my name is Michael. I'm from Bulgaria.
Hello, my name is Miguelina Fuentes, and I am from Mexico.
Hi, my name is Rosa Umerovich. I'm from Bosnia.
Hi, my name is Andrei Bolotovic. I'm from Bosnia.
Hi, my name is Mayra Durakovic, and I'm from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Hi, my name is Fatima Kenik. I'm from Bosnia.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Mechanic and I'm from Bosnia.
My name is Dino Dorotovic and I'm from Bosnia.
Hi, my name is Benedict. I'm from Bosnia.
Hi, my name is Linda Cloud,
and I'm from Canada, and I can vote!
Hi, my name is Marisela Pascual and I'm from Mexico.
Hi, my name is Sylvia Hernandez and I'm from Guatemala.
Hi, my name is Ushanka, and I'm from Latvia, and I have waited years to become a citizen. And I'm proud today to become a citizen with tears to my eyes.
Hi, I'm Carmela Robles from Philippines.
I'm Jeffrey, I came from Ukraine.
Morning, I'm Rick Northrup, I'm from Canada.
Good morning, this is Executive coming here.
Good morning, this is Mahesh Likhani, born in India.
Now I'm going to ask all of our new citizens to please stand and raise your right hand and I will.
Sergey wrote a book based on diaries he made when he was first in the United States. And as I understand, this is just volume 1, right?
That's correct.
He's going to have multiple volumes coming out. Well, I said, well, since Sergey is kind enough to come up and speak with us, I bought the book. I said, I might as well read this. I read this in one sitting. 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I just couldn't put it down. It was so fascinating because your writing is very compelling, for one. And his story is very interesting for two. It's really interesting. You know, we've lived here our whole lives. We don't have that perspective. It's just so interesting to hear someone else's perspective about what we take for granted. So I hope you really tune in and listen to what he has to say. It's a very interesting, very informed perspective. Sergey is not a historian. He's an electrical engineer by trade, but I find that he has a depth of understanding on history, economics, culture. So just a very observant fellow and a great storyteller. So like